to Perplexing Puzzles. We are so glad you're joining us today. Do you love solving puzzles and mysteries? So do I. Do you love cracking secret codes and finding hidden messages? Then you are in the right place. You have an amazing mind. Thanks for using it to help us solve these perplexing puzzles. Are you ready? Let's get started. Thanks for joining us today for Perplexing Puzzles. Let's get started on our next challenge. If you or someone you know has already been to our website, you may have downloaded this puzzle and you may have already solved it. But if not, now is the time to hit pause, read the puzzle, and be a puzzle investigator. Just come back when you're ready to discuss the case. Welcome back. I knew you could do it. Let's talk about the case together. First, you know what's happened. You are just going on a walk, and you still need to use your detective skills to help this sweet dog find its home. Now, you have all the quotes from neighbors, and you know they're all true, except no one knows where the dog lives. Can you figure it out? Were you able to solve it? How did you start? You have all these clues, and that can be a little overwhelming. So I want you to stop and either talk with your team or think about it independently, but pause the video to think about these questions. What do you notice about the clues? Is there a clue you want to use first, and why? What's your first step in solving this? Do you start and use the clues in order? What are you thinking? How did you tackle this investigation? So hit pause, and when you're ready to go back to the case, hit play. There are multiple ways you can solve this problem, and you may use the clues in a different order than we discussed today. That's okay. Be sure to share your ideas with your family and your team. So let's look at this together. Now, I think colored pencils are an excellent detective tool. So if you want to use your colored pencils, go ahead and hit pause, get out your colored pencils, and then come back. Welcome back. Let's look at the first clue. Now, as we read these, the first clue really is very helpful because it tells you the numbers of your units and that they're ordered consecutively. So I can go ahead and label and say, okay, I have 108, 109, 110, 111, and 112. So that's very helpful. And the next clue I'll use with the same color because that's also really helpful, knowing that each person has one and only one pet. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is the name of the person and this is the name of the pet in each place. But now it gets a little more challenging. Did you find a clue that was really helpful? Do you have to use the clues in order? Well, let's look. What did you think? I think I would use this clue. Rachel lives in unit 108. I'm going to circle that with blue, and then I'm going to write Rachel here. So if I have to explain my thinking to someone, I have blue and blue. So that's how I know Rachel lives there. Let's look. Is there another clue that you see that's really helpful? And if you come up here, Rachel has a goldfish. So automatically, you have Rachel and her goldfish in 108. The dog does not live there. What clue would you like to use next? I'm going to look at this. The two dogs do not live next door to each other, but the two cats do live next door to each other. That tells me so many things. First of all, I know there are 2 dogs and 2 cats. I know that cats have to be next to each other. So they could be right here, but in 109 and 110. But that would mean that the 2 dogs are next to each other, and I know that's not true. I could say, well, maybe the cats live here. But if they live in 111 and 112, then the 2 dogs also live next to each other. So that doesn't work. So where can the cats live next to each other and the dogs don't? The only place to make that happen is to say, okay, the cats live in 110 and 111, and the dogs live in 109 and 112. Good detective work. What clue should we use next? I think I heard one of you say you would use this clue next. The owners of the golden lab and the goldfish are next door neighbors. So I know that the golden lab is here. And let's think. What else can I use? What clue would you do next? I would use that clue next too. Carolyn has a spaniel puppy. So the only other dog, because this dog is a golden lab, this dog must be a spaniel puppy. And so that is where Carolyn lives. What clue would you use next? If you haven't solved it yet, you can stop, hit pause, and come back to see us. What is another clue that might be helpful? Well, I'm going to look at this clue. Neither of the 2 men, Chip and Greg, live in an end unit. Well, we know that. But they also don't live next to each other. So that means I know that Chip and Greg have to live in 109 and 111, but I don't know which is which. Well, how would I even know the name of the other person? Who could live in 110? Good observation. Yes. If we look at the last or next to last clue, the black cat is not Cheryl's. Well, that lets us know a couple of things. We know that Cheryl is a person, so we'll put her here. We know that there is a black cat, but it does not belong to Cheryl, so it must be here. Black cat. What would you use as your next clue? Let's look at this one. Chip, who does not live next door to Rachel. So if Chip does not live next door to Rachel, he must live in 111. So we know Chip lives here. And we know that he does not own the orange cat. But we know that there is an orange cat. So that must belong to Cheryl, that cat. And then finally, who lives in 109? Well, yes, you're exactly right. It could only be Greg. He's the only person left. So we know he lives from this clue too. He lives in 109. At this point, you're feeling really happy about your detective skills. You have used your skills to help a friendly dog find its home. It's taken most of your lunch break, but you're fairly certain that the owner of the dog is Greg, and he lives in 109. You also know all of the other homeowners and their pets. Well, what happens when you go to Unit 109 to look for Greg? Success! You take the dog to Greg in Unit 109. Greg just hasn't seen you because he has been out driving looking for his dog. He's so thankful that you found him. Your amazing detective skills are not just for solving crimes. This time, you helped both a person and a dog. Congratulations! You did it! You should celebrate. But remember, there will always be more cases to solve. Are you ready for the next challenge? We hope to see you on the next case. We really need investigators like you. Perplexing Puzzles is produced and copyrighted by Amazing Minds. Visit us at www.amazing-minds.com for more puzzles and fun challenges. Also, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We don't want you to miss a single episode of Perplexing Puzzles. Thanks so much. See you next time.